Being sad is being human. Now, sadness is a human emotion that we all feel on a daily basis. It could be because of a fight with a friend, a bad grade on a test, or because of something far greater. And because we all feel sadness so fully and so deeply, we tend to express it in different ways. We could isolate or withdraw ourselves, push away our family and friends, close ourselves off. But we could also become talkative and outspoken. But a lot of the time, though, we can attack. We can lash out on people who are trying to help us because we don't see it as help. We see it as an attack on ourselves because we think they couldn't possibly understand what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking about. And because of this, though, we create a stigma around sadness and depression. We also tend to shy away from sadness and depression because it makes us feel vulnerable and unsure about things, and it makes us question that maybe for once we don't have all the answers. We also tend to suppress sadness and depression because we feel like we're the only ones experiencing it. But we only see part of people's lives. Because when we open up Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and we see the posts and the photos, we only see the highlights of these people's lives. Because we see how happy and excited they are about life, but we don't really know what's going on beneath it all. And that's partly because we don't want to know. Because a distinct example that always comes to my mind is when I'm walking in the halls at school and someone passes me and they always say, "Sarah, how are you doing?" My immediate response is always, "I'm good," or "I'm fine." It's never, "You know what? I've been feeling really sad lately." And because we do this, we only create and add to the stigma because we see people in terms of likes and dislikes and not as real humans. Because we're always in such a rush to get from place to place, event to event, that we don't take time to really think about how that one person in our life is really doing. And this stigma I've been talking about, I've lived under since before I could remember because I had been depressed since I was 9. And I remember thinking to myself when I was first becoming depressed, "You shouldn't feel this way. There's something wrong with you." Because I had seemingly everything in my life going right. And that was true, I did. I had food on the table, clothes on my back, a roof over my head. I had a good family and good friends. I even went to a good school. So why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so sad I can't even get out of bed in the morning? So empty and so lost. And these thoughts, they began to degrade me to such an extent that I believed everything. That I began to think that there wasn't just something wrong with me, there was something wrong with how I felt. And these thoughts, they just about broke me because as my life got increasingly more complicated as the years went on, I didn't address anything. I suppressed everything. And this led to some very dark places because I had begun to do things to myself. Harmful things, hurtful things. I was so numb half the time I couldn't move, and the rest of the time I just felt sad. And school was just not an option. By the time, though, I finished middle school and I entered my freshman year of high school, those thoughts in my head got worse. They soon became, "You're stupid, you're worthless, no one would miss you if you're gone," and even, "I don't want to live anymore." And one day, I came up with a plan. And this plan, I wasn't going to tell anyone about. This plan I was fully committed to. And this plan was to end my life. The therapist I was seeing at the time, though, found out about this plan. And she told my parents, you know what? You need to take her in. So that's what they did. I was admitted into an inpatient clinic for 24/7 care for teens in crisis. And at that point, I had reached rock bottom, and sometimes it felt even lower than that. A memory that will always stay with me is when I was laying in my hospital bed, first waiting to be admitted into the hospital. And in the corner of that room, there was a police officer or a security guard. And this person was not allowed to leave me alone. Where I went, they went, because I was high risk to myself. I remember this all the time because it shows how I was walking a very fine line between life and death, and I wanted to choose death. Another memory or memories that will always stay with me, though, are the people I met while I was in the hospital. And these people, they came from all different walks of life. They were different ethnicities, sexualities, backgrounds, and above all, different stories. Because some of them struggled with drug addiction, family abuse, sexual abuse, and trauma in seemingly all of its forms. But despite how different we all were, though, we created a bond that I will never forget because we became a family. Because we had all struggled and lost these small little battles in our lives, but when we talked about it and we formed a community around each other, I felt like I was never going to be alone again. They saw the best in me when I couldn't see it in myself. They took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. They loved me, and above all, they gave me hope that yes, life is horrible now, and it might not get better anytime soon, but it will. Because life is worth the fight. Now, my experiences in the hospital, though, weren't all butterflies and rainbows. But it was real, and I will never be the same because of it. And these people, though, when I left the hospital, I wasn't allowed to keep in contact with any of them. So I don't know what became of everyone. I would like to think, though, that they're all still alive somewhere, and they're all still fighting their battles. And even if I never see them again, they are always with me, because they showed me something that I had yet to experience up until that point. And that is true and honest human connection. I realized that while I've been on this journey, that we as humans create the stigma, but we're also strong enough to break it. Because we all go through experiences, and they change us, maybe not necessarily for the better, maybe not necessarily for the worst, but they change us. And those people in the hospital taught me that sadness is never something that should be hidden or that you should feel ashamed of or that you should feel like there is something wrong with you. Because sadness is beautiful and amazing because it shows us that we are human. It lets us empathize with others, relate with others. We can see the best in people when they can't see it in themselves. We can see them for all they could be and all that they are. And most of all, we can see beauty in what others see as ordinary. Above all, though, what sadness has taught me is that yes, sadness and depression, it tears us up inside. It destroys us. It chews us up and spits us out again. But it also gives us everything we need to mend everything back together again. Because sadness and depression has given me all of the hope I need in human connection and in what it means to be human.